And a resounding good evening. Peace and grace, ladies and gentlemen. How are you? Peace and grace. It is so good to be in your presence once again. You are listening to Rachelle Wilson here at the Make Some Intelligent Noise Broadcasting Studios in Wilmington, Delaware, broadcasting to you globally on internet radio, global internet radio. Thank you so much for joining me once again. We've got a lot to talk about. Let's talk about the big, beautiful bill. The big, beautiful bill has passed the Senate and the House and is waiting for Donald Trump. President Donald Trump will be signing off on that bill most likely within the next couple of days or the next couple of weeks at the latest. He's so excited about it. I'm almost positive he's going to sign it at his earliest convenience. What do you think about it? Is it the big, beautiful bill or is it the big, ugly bill? Well, let's just break it down a little bit. So, most of us have been watching mainstream media and we've been trying to keep up with it. And I have to say, when I watch mainstream media, I recognize, I've done the research and I know who owns it. All right. Mainstream media is not private. It does receive funding. It receives funding from big people, people with deep pockets. And so, therefore, I don't always trust everything that mainstream media is saying to me, but it gives me a great heads up so I know where to go to do the research to find out what's really taking place and what's happening. And of course, here I like to make some intelligent noise, the MSIN broadcast studios. We make some intelligent noise. So, yes, we're going to do the intelligent thing and we're going to do some research. We're going to, think outside of the box. Sometimes you have to think about things beyond what is being said, and you have to realize the truth of what's not being said. Okay. So I'm Rachelle Wilson. I can't thank you enough for joining me. I'm so happy to be in your presence. Once again, you are listening to Rachelle Radio Raw, and I appreciate you being here. So let's dive in and feel free to let me know what you think about this. You can always hit me up and let me know, what are your thoughts on all this? I really want to hear from you. So this particular bill, the big, beautiful bill, in some cases, many Americans are calling it the big, ugly bill. All right. If you make over $100,000 a year or more, actually, many of our Democrats are saying that this is a bill that is specified for the wealthy, for millionaires, billionaires, people who are making 100, 200, 300, $500,000 or more per year. This bill benefits them. It does not benefit the little guy like you and me. Okay, I don't know. Maybe you're not the little guy. Maybe you're the big guy and you're making that kind of money. I do not make $500,000 per year, so I have to consider myself as the average the American that is just hardworking middle class American. Okay. This legislation proposes to cut taxes 12%, 12%, and boost the income to the middle class family. That sounds really great, but you got to think, one hand washes the other, or sometimes one hand may take from the other. So if I'm getting a 12% tax cut and a boost to my income, for example, if I'm a waitress or something of that nature, well, you don't have to worry about taxing my tips. Well, that's a great thing. You shouldn't be taxing my tips anyway. All right. If I'm a waitress, I'm probably just barely making it. Dancer or any of those kinds of things, anyone who's in the field of service who would make tips and that sort of thing. So, is it really beautiful? Well, I don't know. It also it also purports that this big beautiful bill, and first of all, you should know it passed yesterday, Tuesday. Today is Wednesday, July the 2nd. And yesterday on July the 1st, which happens to be my mother's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. Mwah. God rest your soul. May you be in the light. But also, Tuesday, July 1st, the bill passed 51-50. It was Vice President Vance that broke the tie between the Republicans and the Democrats. And the bill purports that it is going to create a new border and military funding so we can build a wall around the United States of America, so that other folks can't come here. I have a whole piece about that within itself, but I'll get back to that. All right. The bill also, what else does it do? It purports that it will, to cut taxes for seniors receiving Social Security. 88% of our seniors here in America do receive Social Security. They've worked hard all of their lives. And at the end of that workforce time, they're now, they want to live their lives. And all of that Social Security money is supposed to help them to do that when they're no longer in the workforce. So cutting the taxes on that is going to help our seniors. That part, I've got to say, I do appreciate. But now let's get down to the crust of it. All right, let's peel back the layers and see what else this big, beautiful bill is going to do. It removes the safety net from funding for programs like Medicare, Medicaid, and the Affordable Care Act. Losses of jobs in the healthcare field, hospitals, up to as many 500 potentially rural hospitals will have to close their doors because the healthcare industry is greatly affected by this big, beautiful bill. Again, many of our Democrats are telling us that this bill in particular was crafted and designed for people making $500,000 per year or more. All right. That people in the healthcare, unless you're the doctor, you're not making 500,000 or more per year. So this bill will not benefit you from that perspective. Maybe once you're a senior citizen, it not taxing your Social Security, which it shouldn't tax it anyway. All right. But it won't tax it. And that's going to help you once you're in your golden years, as they call it, the silver years. All right. The senior citizen, the silver seniors, however you want to phrase it, it really comes down to the exact same thing. It's going to end very poorly for anyone who makes less than $100,000 a year. But I want to go back really quick. And I just want to talk. I have to mention it's going to reduce clean energy funding, which means that our electricity bills are going to go up. And many of us here in America, if you live on the Northeastern corridor, which is Baltimore, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and here in the state of Delaware, there is a monopoly from an organization called the Exelon Group. All right, the Exelon Corporation runs all of the energy here for Delaware, Pennsylvania, Maryland, some parts of Virginia, New Jersey, and so forth. And it's a monopoly. There are no other energy sources here, and any other energy source that would offer its services to us, they still have to go through the Exelon Corporation. Many of us know it most familiar by the name of Delmarva, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia. Delmarva Electricity is actually owned and operated by Exelon. All right. And so the Exelon Corporation last year in 2024 made $25.3 billion. $25.3 billion was the revenue of the Exelon Corporation last year in 2024. All right. And that's not even including many other gifts and various different things like that. The CEO himself, the CEO made $14 billion. 14 million was his paycheck in 2024. All right. And so, That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And for people who are making that kind of money, of course, they're going to support the big, beautiful bill. But because it is this big, beautiful bill is going to reduce clean energy funding, that means electricity, the cost of our electricity is going to go up. No matter where you live in the United States of America, it's going to change your electricity, your service, your charging for service. Maybe not your usage. I know that oftentimes my usage is lower than the service charge to deliver the energy to my home. All right. The service charge itself, I looked at one bill, it was $200 to just deliver the service of delivering it to my home, when my actual usage itself was a little over $100. I think it was $110. So the bill ended up being $310 because of the service charge. All right. So we can look forward with the big, beautiful bill is going to increase. In most cases, it's going to increase the electricity bills that many of us receive, whether you're using gas or electric. It's definitely going to change the narrative, the dynamics of that. But I really want to get back to saying this as we are on the brink. Again, today is July the 2nd. And I've got to tell you, July 4th for here in America is celebrated in all kinds of ways. People are celebrating the independence of America. All right. But I've got to tell you, President Donald Trump wants to build a wall to protect Americans from other people coming into this nation. Criminals, rapists, immigrants, whatever you want to call them. But my question is this. America, as we know it today, it's known as America. At one point, it was known as Amexamore. And the people, the inhabitants of this land, were the Native Americans. All right. Some people thought they were Indians, but many of them were Moors. Moors. They were Moors, people of very deep, rich, melanated skin. These are the original inhabitants of this land, this North continental area. All right. Amexamore. North America belonged to the Moors. And what people thought were Indians, they were actually the Native Americans or the natives of these lands. And the Dutch, the English, the British, they came to this land looking to get away from England. All right. They wanted to start a whole new world for themselves. And so they came to this land and they began to inhabit it. And they've done all sorts of various different debaucherous behaviors, all right, to take this land, to call it their own, showing absolutely no love and no mercy for the original inhabitants that were here. And now America is loaded with thousands of hundreds of different types of nationalities of people. But again, the Moors, which are very deep, rich, brown, black and brown, melanated people, and are Native American of beautiful brown hues, yellowish brown hues. All right. This was their land. So really the British, the Dutch, even the French, some of the French, right? They came to these lands looking for a new home for themselves. They were immigrants. They had no nationality, but they came here, stole this land, this nation from the original inhabitants, right? Claimed their independence from Britain and Wales and Dutch and wherever they were all coming from. They claimed their independence from them and lived here. And now we're going to have the 4th of July to celebrate that independence. But I want you to know, be very clear. And again, this is global internet radio. So if you're listening from any other nation besides the United States of America, you know the history as well as I do. Many foreigners know the history of the United States better than many United States of America Americans. This land was stolen by immigrants coming here to this country, taking over and just living in a debaucherous way, doing terrible, terrible things. I don't have to go through every single thing that the people from England, the British and the Dutch did when they got here. I don't have to tell you the story. You already know. They did horrible, horrific, debaucherous behaviors in order to come to this land and make their new home. But there were no walls. We didn't build walls. As a matter of fact, the Native Americans and the Moors actually at first, when they first came here, we were friendly. We offered them our hand in friendship. We were cordial. We taught them how to hunt. They were still using outside irrigation, going to the bathroom in the woods. We taught them how to use toilets, and how to take showers and bathe and these various different things. We had universities here, schools of higher learning here in America before they arrived. And now Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, wants to build a wall to keep out the immigrants from coming to this land that doesn't even belong to him. It doesn't belong to anyone of British descendants. It doesn't belong to anyone who is not a direct descendant of the Native American, Cherokee, Blackfoot, all of the Native Americans. If you are not a direct descendant of a Moor or a Native American, then you're an immigrant in this nation. And you don't have to like it. You don't have to like the fact that I'm telling you this again, because I'm not going to ever stop saying the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth as I comprehend it. You're all immigrants in this land. If you are not a Moor or a Native American, you are the immigrant. You have no nationality. You left your nationality to come and take over this North America, a Mexamore. And we welcomed you as friends. We taught you things. We showed you how to live and survive. And what did we get in return? If you know the history of America, you know what happened to us here. You know what happened to the Native Americans and to the Moors. Let's just use the word massacre. All right? Diseases and massacre. You stole this country from us. You stole it because you had bigger weapons or guns or whatever you had that was bigger than what we had. We had our hearts and our friendship, and we knew how to live and till the land. We worked the land. We ate from the land. We were a peaceful people. But the immigrants came, stole the land, turned the land into what they consider to be their land, even to this day. Even to this day. And they do not treat the original descendants of the Moors or the Native Americans with any level of respect. Not one iota of respect. We had to claw and fight tooth and nail for every single thing that we have gotten. If it were not for the original people of this land, I can only imagine how far in the dark ages would the immigrants be, the immigrants that came here from Britain and Wales and the Dutch and all of these various different people, and some of the French, the Spaniards, collaborating together, came to this land, stole these lands. They were mean and nasty and debaucherous. And I've got to say, ladies and gentlemen, there is still a lot of that mean and nasty debauchery still going on. Now, you can say a lot of things about the brown and black-hued people. All right, we have been traumatized, absolutely traumatized, to the point where we are today. Black Americans brown-skinned Americans in this country have been traumatized by the debauchery of non-brown-skinned people. And you don't have to like me for saying it, but you have to understand the truth. But now President Donald Trump, who is not a brown-skinned person, as far as I know, he has no brown-skinned people anywhere in his lineage, wants to build a wall to keep the immigrants, which are mostly brown-skinned people, wants to keep them out of this land because they have, because they're rapists and gang people. What else did he call them? They're gang affiliations, rapists, terrorists. Well, hell, we've got that here anyway. We have rapists right here in America that are not immigrants from across the other side of the borders. But he's going to build a wall, spend trillions of dollars. Actually, let me see. What is the number? The number is $5 trillion. The United States of America will be $5 trillion in debt by the time Donald Trump completes building the wall to keep the immigrants out. The immigrants that don't look like him. People who are running away from terrible, horrible situations in their country. They are coming to United States of America for asylum, for relief. They're asking for help. And if you're good and honest and true people who want to work and live the American dream, then why are we keeping them out? When it's the immigrants themselves who stole these lands in the first place and yet take no accountability for their behaviors. I'm baffled. I'm just befuddled about that. So when we celebrate the 4th of July, the independence of the United States of America from Great Britain, London, England, whatever you call it, who exactly is going to celebrate that? The immigrants that came to this land and stole this land will celebrate the 4th of July. The 4th of July is not for people that look like me. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, on radio, you don't know it, but I'm telling you now, I am a brown-skinned woman. I am a brown-skinned woman. In many places in America, they would call me a half-breed. My father is Sicilian. My mother was Indian and African-American. The Igbo tribe from Nigeria. 10 generations brought here to this country by the immigrants on a slave ship. 10 generations. That's what my mother's side of the family is. My father's side of the family is 10 generations of pure 100% Sicilian until, of course, my father met my mother and broke that 100% pure chain. But I am definitely a brown-skinned woman. So I will not be celebrating 4th of July, Independence Day, because that is no day of independence for me. My people stayed in slavery and lived in laborious conditions, treacherous and horrific laborious conditions for years, hundreds of years, under the foot of the immigrants that have now taken over America, have stolen North America. And you say we're supposed to forgive. Oh, let that go. That's hundreds of years ago. Let it go. This is a new world. It's a new time. You have to forgive and forget. Let it go. Embrace your brothers and sisters. Yeah, I don't have a problem with embracing my brothers and sisters. People of all nationalities. We are all of the same colored blood. If you cut me, I bleed red. If you cut Donald Trump, he's going to bleed red too. So yeah, in the bigger picture of the spiritual self, yes, we are all brothers and sisters, and we must love one another, and that is what is required of us by that which is higher than our physical body selves, our spiritual selves. We are to love one another as brother and sister, as each other, as ourselves. I get it. I'm all for it. That's fine. But you answer me this, riddle me this, ladies and gentlemen. How can I forgive and forget and get past it? Let it go. If you step on my toe, or let's say you punch me in the face, you come into my house, punch me in the face. Years go by and you want me to forgive you, let it go. We're all family, we're brothers and sisters, right? Okay, that's required of me to forgive. The spiritual self says I must forgive. But how can I forgive you for coming into my house, punching me in my face, when you are still in my house and you are still punching me in my face? How can I forgive you? Once you stop punching me in my face and maybe get out of my house, then I can forgive. I can let go and I can find peace and love and embrace my brothers and sisters. I do not comprehend. I do not comprehend. How can I forgive the very one who came and broke into my house, punched me in the face, stole my house? And you want me to forgive and forget, let it go. Yes. Well, that's a tall order. That's a tall order, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me. But we will be celebrating, not we, but America, the United States of America, will be celebrating the 4th of July, their particular independence from Britain, right? What was that, 1776? Somebody tell me which year was that? 1776, was it? I'm not certain. What year did the British come here to North America? At any rate, moving right along, moving right along as I must, because if I stay on this topic much longer, I'm going to get really pissed off. So I'm going to try to get away from this particular conversation and keep it moving. Hi, Carla. How are you? Peace and grace. Thanks for chiming in, sweetheart. I appreciate you. Again, I'm Rachelle Wilson. I'm recording. I'm live actually here on Facebook, but I'm also recording for Rachelle Radio Raw. And this will be aired in just a few minutes after the completion of my Facebook show. I will be airing this live global internet radio, Rachelle Radio Raw, where we keep it real, alive, and we tell the truth. We tell it as we see it. All right. So I appreciate you being here. We've got 20,000 potential listeners right now. As the board is showing me, there are 719 people who were chimed in all around the world who are listening. I cannot tell you if you're an American or which country you're listening from. I can only see that my dashboard tells me there's 719, now 720 people are listening with the potential for 20,000. So it's open. But right now, in just a moment, I'm waiting for Councilwoman Michelle Harlee, who is going to join us. And we're going to talk a little bit about some things that are taking place locally here in the city of Wilmington, the state of Delaware, which is where I'm broadcasting to you from. The Make Some Intelligent Noise Foundation Broadcasting Studios is in Wilmington, Delaware. And we're broadcasting to you live on global internet radio, as well as Facebook, Spotify, and my YouTube channel. All right. All of the platforms right here with Rachelle Wilson. So We're just waiting for Michelle Harlee to join us so that we can have a little conversation about rent stabilization. She should be joining me in any moment. I'm just looking for her to pop up at any moment. But you still haven't told me, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about the big, beautiful bill? Is it beautiful or is it ugly? Is it beautiful or is it ugly? Does it help us or does it hurt us? If you make over $100,000 versus making under $100,000. And hey, I'm not perfect. I don't always know everything. So I would love to hear what you have to say. Maybe you know something that I don't know. All right. So, I am looking for Michelle Harlee. Where is she? I'm looking for her. Michelle Harlee, Representative Harlee, I'm looking for you, my dear. I see you're here, but you're not here. I don't see you. Where are you? City Council Representative Michelle Harlee of the 4th District. The 4th District. Waiting for her to pop on at any given moment. I don't know where she is, but let's give her a little chat here. Well, okay, so while we're waiting for her to join us, let's just talk a little bit about the big, beautiful bill. How does it affect you and your family? In particular, it's very interesting that it says it is purporting to cut taxes and boost the income for the middle class. Even the middle class is at a certain particular pay grade. So, what about low income families? How does the big, beautiful bill help low income families, people who are struggling, get up and go to work every day and trying so hard in order to just survive? All right. So tell us that. Tell me, how does that happen? How does it help your family? What will it do for you? The big, beautiful bill. Okay. But I want to also talk about some local things that are taking place. One of the things, obviously, I want to talk to Michelle Harlee, Representative Michelle Harlee, is about the rent stabilization bill that she did support. There were some people that did not support it and they voted no. And it's my comprehension, talking to my sources, which of course I cannot name, that the people who voted no on the rent stabilization bill, the very people who voted no are also people who took campaign contributions from great big companies, people who want to not have rent stabilization. All right. They don't want that. It doesn't work for them financially. So that is what has been told to me by some of my resources, my sources. I cannot tell you their names, but I can tell you that that is what has been reported to me, that the people who voted no for rent stabilization are people who took campaign contributions moving forward. All right, I think I see Representative Michelle Harlee. Let's see if I can bring her onto stage. I hope that she's there. Hello, Michelle, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you see me?
Yes, I can. I'm so happy to see you.
I'm having a little bit of technical difficulty. My iPad, I transferred from Verizon to Infinity, and I forgot to put the SIM card in, so I wasn't able to connect on the iPad. So I said, I got to get on. I wish I could see you, but I'm going to leave it the way that it is. As long as you can see me and you can hear me and I can hear you, I'm okay with it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, you look beautiful. And I want to start this conversation, of course, saying thank you for your time. I know you're a very, very busy woman, but you're also a history maker, as another history maker, the first Black woman to be the chair. Tell us a little bit about that, Michelle.
Okay, so first of all, thank you for this opportunity to come on. It's always a pleasure connecting with you and also with the community. As it relates to the finance chair, as you know, this is my third term, and each term there are committees that are set up. And so the finance committee is one of the committees that is one of the standing committees, and the finance chair historically has always been men. So yes, this is the first term and the first time in the history of Wilmington City Council that they've had a female, and by default a Black female, to be the finance chair. And I will tell you, it definitely is a challenge, and I was looking for a challenge, especially since this is my third term. So I was looking for a challenge, and it has been just that. And the main responsibility of the finance chair is to preside over the budget hearings from the mayor's department. So that's just at a high level. So, yes, the month of April, I spent a whole lot of time in the county building. Literally every Monday, every Wednesday in the month of April, I was in the building from 4 o'clock literally to 9 o'clock the month of April. So it's been a challenge. It's rewarding, and I am enjoying it.
Oh, well, we thank you so much for your sacrifice, Michelle. We just appreciate you for all the work that you do. You are an amazing, amazing city council representative, not only for the fourth district, but for the entire city. You just look after people all over the city, and we thank you so much for that.
I do
Uh,
my best. I really do.
Praise God. Give thanks and praise. So I want to jump right in. So
Hmm.
rent stabilization was a really hot topic and still is a hot topic with a lot of the city residents here in
Okay.
Wilmington.
You right.
So I've been talking to a lot of my sources, and I understand that and you don't have to respond to this particular
Okay.
statement. Um, some of my sources are telling me that the people who voted no are people who took campaign contributions. I don't know if that's the truth or not the truth, and you don't have to respond because those are your colleagues. But I do want to know, why did you say yes and support rent stabilization?
So let me just speak to contributions. I feel as though that, it is really unfortunate that a lot of propaganda gets promoted in our communities about BPG or any other businesses that give candidates funding. During an election season, everyone is allowed to give candidates campaign dollars. Now, for me, I receive campaign dollars from whomever want to give me campaign dollars because it is acceptable. It is nothing wrong with it. It's not illegal to take funding from businesses. So I have residential constituents and I have business constituents. Now, this is the way that I see it, and other people have a right to their opinion. But one, I'm not going to just tax my residential constituencies when I represent businesses as well. I go to the downtown merchants. You have all kinds of businesses downtown, milk and honey. BPG is not the only business downtown. So I definitely would not be taking money from some of your small mall and paul businesses, coffee shops, sports shops, art galleries, Peace Academy. I mean, like, there are a plethora of businesses downtown besides BPG. So let me just say that it will be a candidate, in my opinion, would be a fool not to receive funding from these BPG or any other business downtown. Um, I feel as though people have a right to their opinion in terms of thinking that individuals, just because they receive funding from BPG or any other business, has a lot to do with how they vote. Now, me personally, I definitely don't believe that they voted the way that they did because of BPG funding. Now, I have not looked at their campaign reports because that's not what I do. Go snooping around looking at people's campaign reports and things of that nature. But I believe that they decided based on an informed decision. One of the things that I know for a fact is that there's always more to how we move legislation internally. And what I mean by that is internally, don't nobody in the community see how the legislation is moving. What do I mean by that? Who's meeting with who in terms of if I'm sponsoring legislation, the community only knows what I tell them. So all I'm saying is this is that just because a candidate or individual receive funding from BPG or any other business does not mean that that's why they're voting the way that they're voting. So that's what I'm going to say
So,
about that. Now,
all
as
right.
it
So
relates to me,
why did you vote yes on it? Why did you feel like it was a
yeah,
good idea?
I'm getting to that because I think that that needed to be out there because the activists put my picture on a flyer basically because I did not tell them I was voting yes. When I took an oath, when an elected official takes an oath, they don't take an oath that says that you have to tell people how you're voting. The oath that I took is that I promise that I will listen to every constituent, that they will tell me how they feel, what's happening, what's going on in their life, and their, whatever the situation may be. But because individuals did not say, "Oh, I'm voting yes," they thought that it was the right thing to do to put pictures up on flyers and put, because, of BPG dollars, we are not voting yes. $2,200 is pennies to me. When I tell you pennies, it's pennies. Trust and believe. If Harley's going to be voting because somebody is giving me money, look for like a million because I am not a cheap chick. You know me. I am not a cheap chick. So $2,200 is pennies to me. So if I'm going to be bought and sold and all that kind of stuff that people are saying out there, it's not going to be for no $2,200 because baby, I loan that out to people in a month. So I'm not no cheap chick. So $2,200 means nothing to me. So I voted yes because one, I heard the people in terms of how they felt about the legislation and what it was going to do, even though there were some areas in the legislation that was concerning to me, but not concerning enough for me to say no, which was enforceability. Yes, I really do believe that 5% is more than enough for a landlord to increase rent annually. I really do believe that. And I really do believe the maximum. And I know that there are people out there that are struggling and that are, really trying to make ends meet as it relates to, or Delmarva Power, what's happening, in Washington, D.C. I thought about all those things more so than the fact that there were maybe some gaps in the legislation that could cause me to say no. I thought about all the other things. And like I said, a lot of times most constituents are not educated enough about how the legislation is processed, how the legislation is vetted internally to really understand me voting no on the legislation. So I just thought about all the other things that my constituency and constituency could be going through that could be impacted by rent gouging. And I know that all landlords don't rent gouge. I don't believe, I think the majority of them are responsible landlords, but I do know that there are some landlords that rent gouge. But I also feel as though if you have tenants that are tearing up your unit, that is tearing up your property, and 5% does not meet the amount of dollars that a landlord has to to use to fix up the property to make it to be in the proper order and shape for them to put it back on the market. I do feel as though they should have the opportunity to get more money if that's the case, because there are some residents that just tear up people's properties, and I think it should be a win-win. I don't think the residents should be taxed more than 5%, but I also feel as though if the landlord is investing a lot of money, because of some enormous or catastrophic type of thing that happened, that the tenant calls. Now that's the other thing too. Sometimes things happen that the tenant did not cause, or they shouldn't be responsible for, but the enforceability of the legislation is not there, because it says in there that there's going to be a department that if the landlord submits an invoice, L&I, land use and planning, will figure that out. But that department is not set up, and the mayor would have to approve that department to be set up. So that is not set up. It wasn't set up, and I'm not sure if the mayor would even give the approval for the department to be set up. So that could be a gap in terms of why some of the other ones decided to vote no. I don't know, but the reason why I voted yes was what I shared with you.
Can I jump in here and say that, as far as I understand, the rent stabilization bill would have offered, if there was a problem and a landlord needed the money or whatever, there were provisions in this particular bill that would have helped to cover that without increasing the rent. There were other ways for the landlord to be able to take care of those repairs and so forth, and keep up with his own personal finances.
No, that's what I just explained to you. That department is not set up. I know it's in the legislation, but it was not set up. That's the point I'm making. What you just said, yes, it was in the legislation. It was in there. It was included. But again, it's not set up, and the mayor would definitely have to approve his department heads to have that set up that way. So you're right. It's in the legislation. It was put in the legislation, but it's not set up, and it
So
may not get.
we really would need to look to Mayor John Carney and have a discussion with him about that. Okay, so
Mhm.
moving on from there, you did
Yes.
mention the Buccini Pollen Group,
Right.
and they're very, very big right here in Wilmington. Tell it, if you are able to tell us, maybe there's so many of the little mom and pop businesses, staples in
Mm-hmm.
the community, that
Mm-hmm.
are no longer with us downtown. Instead, there are new places that have come in. Why is Buccini Pollen Group so interested in investing in Wilmington, Delaware? I don't understand. Why are they here?
Well, first of all, they're from here. They're Wilmingtonians, and so did you know that?
No, I did not.
Yes, they grew up on DuPont Street. They went to St. Anthony's, and they are Wilmingtonians. And they were investing outside of the city of Wilmington and other cities and other states. They have a much bigger portfolio than Wilmington. And they, to my understanding, they decided that they wanted to start investing in downtown Wilmington because it had been blighted for more than 20 years, 20 plus years, up and down Market Street from 2nd Street to 10th Street, starting with the old Cooper Furniture store. That building had been blighted for 15 to 20 years before they converted that into apartments. All of the unit on Fourth and Market on the right hand side, going up at during the higher numbers. I think it's called the Washington, whatever that. Most of the Let me just put it to you like this: most of the buildings were either blighted for 20 plus years, or either they were vacant. Nobody was displaced. They invested in money. So when you talk about what they've invested in, maybe some people may have rather had blight downtown, you know, blight and properties, that was just broken down. I don't know. But I will tell you they're Wilmingtonians, and they decided that they wanted to invest in Wilmington.
Okay. And what are some of the new initiatives? Can you talk about any of the new initiatives that are taking place with City Council? Anything new going on that we should be made aware of?
Anything new as it relates to the budget? So we had, in my opinion, and I guess 10, 12, 11 of us, we felt as though it was a slam dunk budget in terms of the community. We are going to continue to give back to the community as it relates to the home repair lottery. I think, as the finance chair and being very involved in the negotiations, it was very important to me and to the other 11 of us that we continue to put dollars in the budget for homeowners to get at least $10,000 worth of home repairs on their houses. I mean, when we talk about affordable housing, I think it's important that residents are able to stay in their homes. So the home repair lottery has been a big hit. We're going to continue with that. We're going to continue to put, a couple millions of dollars in the budget every year for that. We put $100,000 in the budget for HBCUs. We want our youth and individuals, in our city to continue to consider upward mobility in terms of education, getting a skill. So $100,000 went towards that. And I think one of the big things that's new is that City Council, we established an Office of Education Advocacy to be able to advocate more for our students in the city of Wilmington, because we don't have a school district in the city of Wilmington. And so we, meaning the city council, our city council had a meeting with a couple legislators from down at the General Assembly. State Rep Chicocha, Senator Lockman, they came to us with a plea and a cry for City Council to respond and to take action. They needed our support. And so we established that. We actually put money in the budget. We hired a director. And so I think that's the big thing that I guess I would want to say that is new, that is different, that City Council is excited about being involved, more involved with our education and establishing that office to help our students, children, and families. So that's exciting. And then some of the other, the water bill utility fund, we put more money into that fund. So if individuals are having a hardship with paying their water bill, they can continue to call 311. I'm sorry, 311 to get assistance. The home buyers program, if you're a first time home buyer. So those programs, the same playlist that we ran last year, we ran it again this year, but we added the $100,000 for HBCU for Wilmington residents only. Last year we just said $100,000. We uh, uh, contributed to the HBCU fund, but we were very specific this time. You have to live in Wilmington to be able to use those dollars. And so we also did a neighborhood planning council meeting for the first time. We brought neighborhood planning council leaders together about a month ago. Councilwoman Oliver and Councilmember Johnson, they kind of got together, put their heads together, put their funds together, and we had a very successful session at the Dell Tech down on Fourth and Orange Street. It was a very good turnout. We had land use and planning representative there to talk about how to use those funds, because a number of the districts, I'm sorry, have dollars that have been sitting in their coffers, and it's time to get those funds, use them, put proposals in, because our city could use those funds in the different areas as it relates to capital projects. So those are some of the things that are happening. And just, we're doing a walkthrough in each district. The mayor has already started that. I know he's already walked in your district, the second district. He's walked in the third district. He's walked in a number of districts to walk around to see where the areas are that really need special attention. So that's something different that I can, from what I can recall. So we're doing that, and we're just trying to hunker down. with the civic association leaders to really understand like what's happening in the community so we can connect with them. And also, let me just say this, which I think has been a major added value. The mayor's office have a community engagement person, Greg Morris. He is now that person that comes to civic association meetings. And if there is an issue that residents are having that deals with any department that reports up to the mayor, Greg Morris has been assigned to the civic associations that's east of 95. And then I know that there is someone that has been assigned to the civic associations west of 95. So those are some of the new things that are happening.
Those are very exciting things, and really very, very, I'm very pleased to hear much of that. Thank
Yes, yes,
you so
definitely.
much. Any thoughts? It's rumored. I don't know if it's true. Maybe you can just close us out with this. Delmarva Power, the Exelon Corporation, to my understanding, Delaware has a lawsuit against them for continuing to raise the bills on the service charges. Are you aware of anything? And if so, could you give us an update on that?
So I don't have an update on that because that's the state business. I think you said the state, right?
Yes.
Is it's a state situation. But I will tell you, on July the 24th, I am working along with Greg Morris, who reports up to the mayor. We are going to have a meeting July the 24th at Easy on Mount Carmel on 8th and Walnut to be able to provide some resources to residents that live in the third and the fourth district. So I can tell you about that, about some resources. I don't know too much about the lawsuit, but I know about some resources that,
Okay. So
and
folks need to show up at Easy on Mount Carmel Church on July 24th.
especially if you live in the third and the fourth district. I do know that they're going to take it to some other districts, and what they're trying to do is kind of do this kind of combo sort of thing where add the maximum value. Yes. So the third and fourth, we're having ours on July the 24th at Easy on Mount Carmel, I believe at 6 o'clock. But we're going to be putting the information out there as we get closer to that date and time. So I'm excited about that. And I'm not really clear on exactly what is happening with that lawsuit. So I'd rather not speak on it if I don't have all the facts.
Yes, that's fine. We appreciate your information. You're always a plethora of information, and you help the community so much. We thank you, Representative Michelle Harlee, for your time, your information, for being with us tonight. Thank you so very much, and we pray the very best success for you.
Thank you. Thank you as well. And have a happy, safe July 4th weekend.
Yes. Oh, I hear on July 5th. I don't celebrate July 4th, but I hear July 5th at the riverfront, which I think is some of your district. We're going to be
Yes.
doing something fun down there, right?
Yes, yes. I'm going to pop in. I'm going to definitely pop in to that event. It is not the 5th, it's the 4th. The one that Oh, you're talking which one are you talking about? Let me make
Riverfront
sure we're on the
is
same
some
page.
sort of a celebration at the riverfront on July 5th.
I know about Rodney Square.
Oh, is it Rodney Square, not the riverfront? I must have just misread that.
Yes, Rodney Square, and I do know that Richard Rawl is going to be on the stage at 1 o'clock. So I think it's called Independence Day event, and it's going to be at Rodney Square,
Okay.
not the Riverfront on July the 5th. That's on Saturday, right?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
yes, that's at Rodney Square. I know it's from I want to say 12 to 3. I
Yes.
believe it's from 12 to 3.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
that's
I
it.
got that part. I just I mix up the two places. Again, I
Okay.
thank you so much for joining us
Okay.
this evening. We appreciate you. May God bless you, and I'll be talking to you off air.
Okay, thank you. Thanks again.
Yes, ma'am. Take care.
Okay, bye bye.
All right, Representative Michelle Harlee, how we thank her so much. She is always a wealth of information. And she corrected me. It's at Rodney Square, not at the riverfront. And if you're looking for some assistance, you want to have a dialogue, a conversation about your Delmarva Power and Light bill, then you want to meet up at 6 o'clock at the Easy On Mount Carmel Church on July 24th. They're going to have a conversation about resources for the 3rd and 4th district. And maybe you'll be able to find out some more about other districts, the 2nd, the 5th, and so forth and so on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that about does it for me for this particular broadcast. I do pray that everyone has a wonderful and fabulous weekend, whatever you decide to do with it. I pray that it is well. And I'd love to still hear your comments and your thoughts on the big, beautiful bill. Is it really beautiful or is it ugly? Please let me know. And I'm going to get some Congress folks in here to talk with us about it from their perspective. I'd love to get with Lisa Blunt Rochester and, of course, Senator Sarah McBride. So we'll find out, and I'll be keeping you abreast as soon as I get in touch with them about the big, beautiful, ugly bill. All right, I'm Rachelle Wilson. Thank you for chiming in. God bless you. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll be talking with you real soon. Continue to listen and support Rachelle Radio Raw. Take care, and God bless.